Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. It's going to be a twofer day today. So Octa will come in an hour or so as soon as I can wrap that up. But so much has happened with Bitcoin. And it's days like yesterday that are just so fun. And like I once spoke, I did a little analysis in the Bitcoin Daily once about the buying Bitcoin during extreme fear times is a no-brainer strategy. Anyway, crypto market down to 2.3 trillion. Bitcoin dominance down to 53. It did fall a bit because some of the best alts are running faster. What else is happening? Fear and greed, 30. When fear and greed is low, it's a great time to buy. When everybody is scared, I'm going to break that down. This video today, I'll be talking about who is buying and who is selling. And kind of a week ago, I did a video we don't need the ETFs type of Pink Floyd song thing. Well, I'll prove to you we don't. And this is super interesting. You won't find this anywhere. So let's go. Not financial advice. Who cares? Let's dig into who's selling first. Oh, by the way, thank you to the mods in the chat, TNT Tesla and Sean Donnelly and everybody else. Who is selling Bitcoin? Well, we know Germany is selling more. German authorities appear to be offloading more Bitcoin, according to on-chain analysis, after previously dumping about 170 million bucks last week. So that is one of the headwinds. We had the Mount Gox scare yesterday that rattled everybody. Also, this Where Did It Go? Marty Party tracks the German government wallets. They are sending 900 Bitcoin to exchanges, 500 to Binance, 200 to Kraken, 200 to Coinbase. You can track it all there. And they did it for about $3.88 in fees. It's so cheap to use. Anyway. Weird. Another view of what Germany is doing. This is their saldo, their balance of Germany of Bitcoin. And you can see it's tanked pretty heavily from the approximately 50,400 Bitcoin down to about 45,000 right now. And they'll probably sell more because we know governments are really good at doing things wrong. But I'm not going to get political. In fact, yes, I will, because Bitcoin and governments are intertwined. You can't talk one without the other. Somebody said to me a week or so ago, please leave politics out of it. I said, I can't. They go hand in hand. Anyway, let's go. Bitcoin carry trade, talking about this for 2 weeks now. It's clearly over. They are dunsies. Obviously, the funding rates are not there to hold it. And the huge amount of dumpage that happened over the past 11 days, I believe, is all hedge funds. And I'll prove it to you as well with a couple of charts in a minute too. What's also happening is Bitcoin liquidations. These are the other people forced to sell. Bitcoin suffered that big pullback yesterday, a little bit of cascading liquidations. And obviously, Bitcoin is up $4,500 from the bottom yesterday. $4,500 lower than it is now. That's the perfect time to snipe and scalp and grab some. We weren't sure we'd see under 60K again. And we had a plan and we stuck with it. But the cascade of liquidations, the majority of the casualties are very much long positions in the last 24 hours. And there's different reports, 450 million, 400 million, 345 million. Anyway, a lot were liquidated. And most by the top exchanges. You see Binance here, OKX, etc., all wiped out. And I asked myself, okay, we know longs were liquidated, but who were they? Were they retail investors? Or were they the folks in the carry trade? So again, I'm just putting pieces together to try come to an analysis. And here is the breakdown. This is who lost their $$ is yesterday. And it wasn't retail. So if you look at all the dollars lost, you can see 34.32% of it were those with between 100 and 1,000 Bitcoin, the so-called players, bowlers. Another 26% were the 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin holders. And the 10,000 to 100,000 Bitcoin holders lost 14.5%. And the 10 to 100 holders, 13.25%, etc. But if you look at the 1 to 10 and the 0.1 to 1, etc., they did not lose anything. And inspiration for this chart is James Van Straten. I think it's fascinating to see the people, the big players, the so-called bowlers, with the 10,000 Bitcoin. They were the ones that lost all the monies yesterday. So you add that up, say 200 plus 140, 340 plus 78, call that 440. Sorry, 420. Whoops, 420. I know it means something special. Plus another 71. Nearly half $1 billion were lost by the so-called professionals. Unless, of course, I've got members here in the audience that are dishing out 1,000 Bitcoin in leverage positions. I hope not. Anyway, that was interesting to see. Well done, retail, for not being part of this loser bag. Now, the other side of the coin, who's buying? All right, we saw these cascading liquidations. We know Germany is selling. We know people poop their pants because of Mt. Gox. Again, for this last 10 years, it's been happening. It's really tedious. And the hedge fund carry trade is gone. So who's buying? This is what's fascinating. So Mr. 100 is back after 34 days. I said in a video on Saturday, I said, I'm expecting Mr. 100 to buy the dip. Maybe the Sovereign watches this channel. I don't know. But they came in 3 times after 34 days and bought nearly 340 Bitcoin. Well, 328 to be precise. So it's good to see Mr. 100 back. Remember, Mr. 100 has over $4 billion in Bitcoin. So a lot of people are saying, oh, maybe it's Michael Dell or somebody else. I don't think so, because that amount of coinage drop is a lot. And maybe if you're a top 10 billionaire, you can do it, but it would be a very concentrated investment. So we'll see. Now, who else is buying? Yesterday's from Vivek. Yesterday, while you were scared, someone bought $961 million worth of Bitcoin from Gemini. Emma, thank you so much for being here. That's a big bag. It's nearly 16,000 Bitcoin. Boom. During the dip. Perfect dip nailer. But there's more. I tweeted this last night, as well as a whole bunch of active tweets. And a shout out to Vivek as well. While you were scared, these beasts stacked 190,000 Bitcoin in a little over 3 weeks. 190,000 Bitcoin. So who's ready for the next leg up? Screw the ETFs. Bigger players are assembling. That's what you need to know. Bigger players are assembling. Yes, the ETFs drop 12,000, 15,000 Bitcoin. But whoever these 3 or 4 wallets are, they buy nearly 200,000 in the same time frame. So interesting to watch. But there's more. Who is this mysterious billion-dollar buy? Again, we don't know. They bought from Gemini. Could be a massive bull. This could be Michael Dell. Just got off the phone with Michael Saylor saying, hey, is it a good price now? I see it below 60,000. And Michael Saylor says, yeah, you hit that buy button hard. You throw $1 billion at it. And of course, Michael Dell can do that. Especially he's got an upcoming Dell sale to stock up in some more of that fiat stuff and to turn the fiat melting ice cube into hardness. That's probably what Michael Dell did, or somebody else like that. But these billionaires coming into Bitcoin is getting a lot of attention. A lot of attention. And remember, unless you're these fools who losing their shirts yesterday on the carry trade, the smart money is coming in. All right, so... And also, in good news too, the Hong Kong ETFs stacked a little bit, not too much. The Australian ETF is doing the same thing too. But China AMC hit a new all-time high bag of 2,079 Bitcoin. Ta-da! Not too bad. The other two need to catch up a little bit, but China AMC is the biggest. They have the most, and they are accumulating the most right now. Again, so, and there's more. So this is HODL 15. He's looking at the same kind of wallets I'm looking at. Somebody bought 4,000 Bitcoin today for $235 million. All right, so something is happening, ladies and gentlemen. The big money players are assembling. They look at the window. They look at the catastrophe that fiat is, that governments are, etc. And they're saying, oops, we're going to need some insurance. That's what this is. That's what all this activity is. And all you have to come away with is the buyers that I just listed here far exceed the sellers, okay? And I'm glad to see Retail was not shaken out. Junka, thank you so much for coming. Let's get into some of the news too, and then we get into the black hole and a bunch of charts. So I wanted to start with who's buying and selling, because it's very important to have that perspective. The fear levels were insane yesterday. And I had my plan for like a week. If it hits this level, I buy. Same thing with MicroStrategy. Boom. And today, it's a very different situation. Let's talk about some good news, though. First of all, Bitcoin OG is free. This is WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, and he has officially been released from prison. And that's a win for, I believe, truth, justice, and freedom. Julian is also a Bitcoin pioneer, and he's leaving the UK after striking a deal with the US. And I think he had to plead guilty, conspiring to disclose classified US documents. But anyway, time served, etc. It was a very prolonged legal battle. And he said, this is from Bitcoin Historian, 13 years ago, Julian Assange said, Bitcoin is going to be worth a lot of money. Julian is an OG since Bitcoin was $10. $10. So he is the Bitcoin champion, and he's free. And you'll notice a pattern too between Bitcoiners and things like truth. They like it. Sometimes governments don't like truth, so they don't like Bitcoin. They don't like people like Julian Assange. So again, as I mentioned before, you can't talk about Bitcoin without getting a little bit political. I hope nobody got offended. But hey, I just share the stuff you need to know. And Pomp was on CNBS. And great to see him on there. Michael Saylor tweeted this: AI is going to create enormous amounts of wealth, and Bitcoin is going to protect that wealth. I thought that was very profound because I'm in both asset classes. Woo, for us, and anybody who watches this channel is as well. Remember, I'll repeat that again. AI will create enormous amounts of wealth. Do not be in this asset class. And of course, Bitcoin is there to be your insurance against everything else spinning out of control. Brilliant stuff. Also, this is kind of funny. A guy called Gaetz, Bill Gates or something. Not the Microsoft Gates. I don't know his name. Don't know much, but this came up in the news today. Again, it's politics, but somebody is trying to file something of paying your taxes in Bitcoin. No, you use your melting fiat ice cubes to pay taxes. You hold on to your Bitcoin as much as you can. All right, so it's like buying a Tesla with Bitcoin. Not many people ever actually do it, so this is nonsense, I think. Anyway, it just means more Bitcoin is on the radar of government officials, which is good. Also, Morgan Stanley is coming to the Bitcoin party in August. They were supposed to appear in July, we're running a bit late. And Morgan Stanley is expected to approve their Bitcoin ETFs on their platform for all customers at the end of August, at the very latest, according to a very senior source. Good news. Yet another avenue. And if I recall correctly, Morgan Stanley have about 8 trillion or 4 trillion, something like that, in assets under management in terms of their whole customer base. So that would be big too. And all they need is 1% of that customer base to go to Bitcoin. Has a huge impact. And another candidate, again, politics, but this from the Kobasi letter, a great follow on Twitter. Breaking news. DT is reportedly in talks to talk at the 2024 Bitcoin convention in July. This is in Nashville, Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken. This would make this fellow the first presidential candidate to speak at a crypto event in the history of the planet. And most recently, Trump said he will end Biden's war on crypto at a rally in Wisconsin. So shots are fired. Shots are fired. And I'll be very honest, I like Bitcoin. I'm not even going to say. Anyway, I'll leave that part because it could cut both ways, so anybody can interpret it any way they want. Speaking of gambling, Dr. Ake loses high-stakes bets that have cost him over $1 million worth of Bitcoin. And he loves sports betting. He lost apparently $500,000 on the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals, and another $500,000 on the Oilers in the Stanley Cup Finals. I think one is basketball, the other one is ice hockey. If I'm in Canada, I say ice hockey, I get into trouble. They call it hockey up there. But both teams were defeated, and his digital wallet is down $1 million. Apparently, Dr. Ake has lots of money, but who knows? and then simply just shouting here, it's Drake, Dr. Ake, Drake. Who cares? Anyway, don't know him, but he's into Bitcoin, which is good. Now, a little bit of real estate news. U.S. housing market update in 2016. And by the way, these numbers change all the time. That's fascinating. U.S. real estate has gone up a little bit, but the price of Bitcoin's gone up a lot. So this is kind of funny. A mere 8 years ago, a house in the U.S. would cost you 664 Bitcoin. Today, it's 6. Okay? 6. And the house price has gone up, but the Bitcoin price has gone up faster. It's a faster horse, okay, than real estate. So I thought that was always interesting to look at. Let's look at some charts, bunch of charts, and then we get into the black hole. Sorry, long one today, but so much needs to be shared. Rect Capital talks about this Bitcoin retracement. Green boxes are for stacking. And this Bitcoin retrace is all about forming a macro higher low. And we may have just got one of the things that we like, and that is a macro bull flag being set up at these price levels. Again, red boxes, you hedge, maybe take some off the table. Green boxes, you stack. It's that simple. The best charts are simple charts, so shout out to Rect Capital for that. Also, here, I wrote the wrong word. I meant to say yesterday. Look at the language. I probably ran out of letter space. Here was yesterday. We had the third largest loss day in 2024. Big loss for not just long-term holders and short-term holders, mostly short-term holders. They actually lost everything. Long-term holder would appear on blue on this chart. It's not. But third worst day of the year so far. Again, the tourists come into Bitcoin thinking they're smarter with their carry trade and everything else. And then the bottom falls out and they face cascading liquidations. The real OGs snipe at these levels. The tourists get their butts handed to them. So don't be a tourist. Also, Metcalfe's Law. I'm a big fan of Metcalfe's Law. And this is a cool chart. Shout out to Sanjay as well for getting it to me today. This is the ultimate support level for Bitcoin. $56,000 based on Metcalfe's price valuation bands. That's the red line. 56K. Will we get close to it? No, we hit 58.4 yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So we got within 2,400 of it. But this is support level. And in historic cycles can be resistance. But remember, there's a couple of weird things happening with Metcalfe's Law this time around. Andy out there in Australia, thank you for coming. One of the interesting things is the activity on the chain isn't as high as it was in the past or even earlier this year because the ETFs. But I hope to dust off my Metcalfe's models, compare this. We have 2, and we will share them soon. Also, Bitcoin adoption is at 1999 internet levels. This is from Willy Woo. Bitcoin has the same number of users as the internet had in 1999. We're just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. If you are into Bitcoin, you're like an early adopter. So I remember, I think I got my first DSL in 1995 or 1996. It took the crew 3 days to install it, but I had to have it because dial-up was too painful. Anyway, speaking of pain, there's not much sell walls up to $70,000. The sell walls are looking very thin, according to Bitcoin Munger, which is good news. So that means we can get up there pretty fast. Dr. Sauce, thank you for coming. If another billionaire buyer comes in and they need to build a bag and there's no liquidations happening and the miners are done and the OTC desks are empty and the ETF carry trade is done, we could get back to 70K pretty quickly. Just saying. If those 4 or 5 things I just rattled off happen. So we'll watch carefully. Also from Quinten, last dip before the pump. And he said, reminded everybody again, don't get shaken out by yesterday's corrections. Don't lose heart. Not at this stage of the cycle. We are still so early. If history repeats that magical 547 days, like clockwork every single time, shows you when it's a good time to accumulate. We're still in the green accumulation zone, similar to what Rect Capital said here with a different chart. This is what we call confluence across charts. Again, and I love the blue, basically a fire sale. Yes, it is. I love that. And does history repeat? Yes, it does. This time around, though, things are happening a little earlier, but we'll see. Maybe we needed this period of consolidation to let the whole market digest these ETFs and let retail jump on the bus. Also, Titan and crypto. History is made. This is interesting. This is a 200-week moving average versus the 100-week moving average. The 100-week is in blue. The 200-week is in red. You can see they've never actually crossed until now. They crossed for the first time in history. The question is what happens? Like in the past, they got very narrow, they got very close to each other, but they never actually crossed, i.e. the blue never went through the red. Now, the blue did go to the red for the first time in late 2023, and it's going to cross up. Obviously, moving averages change over time. Things change with the asset. The asset's becoming bigger. The asset is not as exponential, so you can expect these things to happen. But the good news is, this is like a golden cross on steroids, because we have now the blue, which is the shorter one, going through the red, the longer one. So the blue is about to cross the 100 days, about to cross the 200, the 100 week is about to cross the 200 week. And that typically can mean we go higher next. Just like this chart says we're going to go higher next, and this one too. So we'll see. Hang tough. Playlist will be at the end of the video. Just if you like Bitcoin only, Bitcoin proxy stuff, you're in the right place. Bitcoin Black Hole, day 114 of ETFs in the box. What's stunning about this is these ETFs, these 9 ETFs are drained of 1.5 billion out in the last 11 days. We had one whale buy $1 billion worth yesterday. So again, these big funds draining 1.5 billion, 3/4 of it, or 66% of it was eaten by one whale in one day. So again, the buyers right now exceed the sellers, which is what we like to see. Now, what does this look like? This is the unwind of the big carry trade that's been going on for the last 11 days. Pretty clear, because they were in a lot of Fidelity stuff. They were in a lot of Grayscale stuff, HODL, EasyBC, and they've just been unwinding every day since then. New record as well, but not the records we like. But we had 10 out of 11 days in the red. Never happened before. And we have a record number of red days. Also never happened before. This is very clearly the ETF hedge fund unwind. Ta-da! Proven at last. Wasn't sure 10 days ago. Now I'm definitely sure. 2,896 Bitcoin were added to the system. And we know so many whales have gobbled up so much as well. So it's not a big deal. The big players are coming in, and Grayscale, a huge dump as well. This is why I was so surprised that people are putting money into GBTC. Again, a month ago, I said, who would buy it with 1.5% of the fees? The answer is short-term speculators. Ta-da! So again, hedge, carry trade, unwind happened too. They're done, pretty much. So let's expect this thing to turn back around real fast. Remember, not a lot of sell walls. Thank you all for coming. I'll be back in an hour or so with Octa. Hope everybody's doing well. Bitcoin is at 62,000 on the nose as I speak. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you to the mods in the chat and the 6,500 people watching live. Thank you. Bye-bye.